Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Everybody, welcome. Thank you. Sorry for geeking you wait. I got distracted by somebody, and then I came back and OBS was not loading. All right, let's see who's in. Preliminal, John the Savage, David Kent, Mandela FX Watchdog, Shari D, hello, hello. Bubbles, Bubbles, David Kent, I think I said you already. Sapioidson, Angels Don't Fall. Janice Windsor, It's Me, Sia, Monty Hendricks. This is what I get for being late. There's like a million messages. Okay, hopefully that's everyone. Aura 1, the fourth side of 3 is 1. Okay, hopefully that's everybody. I don't want to scroll through all of them. All right, so where are we here? I'm not like super organized today. I did just see this one a little bit before earlier today. Flying Bat with his baby bat. I assume it's her baby bat, even though that's the title, but I just read it. So what I remember for bats is that they leave their babies in the cave. I don't remember them flying with their babies clamped to their stomach. So I thought that one was kind of interesting. So I just thought I would throw that one in. Okay, next one. More on the kidneys one. Okay, so this is kind of a work in progress Mandela. I do remember that livers could grow back partially. It was livers. So if you cut, like, first it was like if you cut a little bit of liver out, it could grow back. And then it was like you could take half a liver and donate it, and the other half would grow back, and then the donated half would grow back. But now it's kidneys. Apparently, kidneys now can do some neat stuff. It was livers before, but now it's kidneys. So they're saying that if you donate a kidney, your other kidney will grow larger, like really quickly. Living donors increase kidney size function over time. I think it was like 50 to 60%. 50 to 60% larger. So if you donate one kidney, the other one gets 50 to 60% larger. And they were talking about between 6 and 36 months after donation, a regular person with regular kidneys had their kidney function decline slowly, just a tad over time. Whereas if you gave a kidney, then that other kidney would actually increase function over time. Like it was getting larger to make up for the other kidney missing. So, anyway, that was just really interesting. I've never heard that before, that your other kidney would grow. But we're seeing a lot of stuff with stuff growing back, like the ribs. If you remove a rib, it can grow back now. As long as the sheath is still intact, it will regrow the rib. So the liver now can almost totally regrow. But not always with cirrhosis, though. Because then the whole liver is sickly. But if your liver is healthy and then most of it's removed, it can grow back now. So apparently now these kidneys also can grow. So it's just kind of a pattern we're seeing. Stuff can grow back. I need cartilage to grow back. You know, they're talking more about cartilage. Let's see. I think we covered this before, that cartilage can grow back. Cartilage regrow. Shoink. Researchers find methods to regrow cartilage in joints. This is an interesting one because I've looked into the knee cartilage thing, and it did seem like it could kind of renew itself sometimes. Last I checked. Stanford researchers figured out how to regrow cartilage by causing slight injury to the joint tissue, then using chemical signals to steer the growth of so I heard about, where they would inject these like stem cells and growth promoting chemicals into like knee joints and stuff, and it could regrow some cartilage supposedly. People were saying it worked, but you had to have a little bit of cartilage still left for that cartilage to regrow into more cartilage. So if you were bone on bone, it wouldn't work. But if you got it done early when you were just starting to have problems, it would work. Humans may possess ability to regrow cartilage. Okay, let's see what that one has to say. Is that the one I just clicked on? I hope not. Let's see. Humans may lack the salamander skills of regrowing a limb, but new studies suggest they do have some capacity to restore cartilage in their joints. The findings run counter to a widely held belief because the cartilage cushion in your joints lacks its own blood supply. But the lack of blood supply does not mean there's no regenerative capacity in the cartilage. In fact, her team found evidence that human cartilage can, to some degree, renew itself using a molecular process similar to the one that allows a salamander to regrow a limb. The researchers are calling it inner salamander capacity. ISC. The capacity exists in a gradient. It's greatest in the ankle, less apparent in the knee, and lowest in the hip. It raises the possibility that innate repair cartilage or capacity in cartilage can be augmented. I think it's coming. We're going to see more regrowth. There's also a lot of problems now with like overgrowth. Like I just saw a weird thing now where rosacea, which used to be just kind of a rash problem on the face that was kind of an autoimmune thing. Now it actually can make you have these giant bulbous noses. Like it actually grows these giant, it's really gross. So I'm not even going to take you into pictures of it, but that didn't used to be the case. I mean, it's just like, ew. So there's the ability to grow more things now, but there's also a lot more problems with overgrowth, keloids, those kind of creepy things. I mean, if you can grow like a huge monster nose, then you should be able to regrow your nose. And maybe my dissolving spine and bones will take a reversal and take mesothelioma and silicosis on the way out with it. You know, if you hang on, I think there's going to be solutions to a lot of these problems, or you'll just shift out, because we're just so shifty right now, and there's finding so many solutions to so many problems that I do think it'll come, or it'll just go away, or you'll find the secret solution. You'll find out the thing that works for you. Used to happen from drinking. No, but these ones, not just, I've heard of getting a red nose from drinking, but not a nose that's like 3 times larger than its normal nose, and permanently. Also, like, ears continue to grow in all through life now. That wasn't the case for me. They just, once you were an adult, that was your ears. You didn't just get like bigger and bigger ears. Okay, so there's that one. Kidneys. Okay, penguins can drink salt water now. I've never heard of that. So supposedly they can drink salt water. I've not really even heard of any creatures that could drink salt water except for like fish. They don't really drink it; they like breathe it. But so they have The story is they drink salt water and then they have glands in their side of their eyes that take the salt back out of their blood. So if their blood gets too salty, the glands will take the salt out and then like run it down their sinus cavities, which I just thought was weird because doesn't the sinus cavities just go back to your stomach again? So you're not really getting rid of it. I just thought of that actually. That's kind of weird. Penguins drink salt. This doesn't really, I would think that if they like tiered it out the side, at sea, penguins must drink salty waters. Now, I just remember them getting sufficient liquids from the food they ate, but there used to be a lot of animals that said that they'd say they didn't have to drink, they would just get the water from the food they ate. But, you know, that was back when they used to say that humans were like 90-something% water, and now they're what? We're like 60% or something. So maybe there's just less water in foods now. So, okay, at sea, penguins must drink salt water, and they are able to do this because they have special glands around the eye sockets that extract excess salt from the blood. The excess salt is excreted as a salty fluid through the nasal passages. So was it come out their nose or what? Because, I mean, let me just see if I can figure that one out. I mean, so they're basically what? Got snotty salt coming out their nose? The supraorbital gland has thus enabled penguin survival. Located above the eyes, surrounds the capillary bed in the head. The capillary bed constantly strains out the salt in the salt water that makes penguins take it. That a penguin takes in. The penguin excretes the salt byproduct as a brine through its bill. Often the fluid drips out, and this gives the appearance of a runny nose. However, the fluid may also be squeezed out. In the absence of salt water caused by captivity, the supraorbital gland will lie dormant. It has no other purpose. Having a dormant supraorbital gland does not negatively affect the health of a penguin. Okay, so what they like? So basically, they got runny nose, and it's salt drizzling out. Anyway, kind of gross. Anyway, I've never heard of that. I don't really recall any animals being able to drink salt water before. Okay, this is an extra weird one. Speaking of medical breakthroughs. Okay, so, you know, they used to say once you, like, your spinal cord was damaged or whatever, they had never been able to figure out how to regrow that sucker. They've been working on it all this time. Apparently now the solution has come in a stick of asparagus. Yes, indeed, a stick of asparagus. Because this world isn't crazy enough. Is that the one I wanted? A new treatment for spinal cord injuries. Good enough. There's a lot of different stories on this one anyway. Okay, so the story basically is that they take an asparagus stick and they like strain out, they put it in a chemical that takes out the DNA and proteins. So it's just kind of like a plant scaffolding. Ironically, after they do this, it still looks like an asparagus. I mean, they cut off, like, they don't use these end pieces and stuff, so they're just using the stalk part. But they cut off these goofy little leaves and stuff, but it looks like asparagus still. And so they've just been experimenting in animals only so far, but basically they'll cut the spinal cord and then they'll just stick a piece of this asparagus in there, and then supposedly the scaffolding acts as scaffolding for new cells to grow. Like the new cells were too dumb to figure out how to grow in the right pattern. But since asparagus has all these like little tubules for like the nutrients to go up and down the stalk, somehow that is the right shape for spinal cord nerves. I mean, I don't really get it. It kind of vaguely makes sense, but it doesn't really make sense to me. But so that's what they're doing. So they did this with like animals, and they inserted asparagus in place of the spinal cord. And at first, the animals couldn't move their hind legs because of the damage. But then, over the course of a couple months, they got like looks like about 50% functionality back, just naturally regrowing. They didn't do anything, like they didn't have any special chemicals or anything. Just the asparagus, just sticking this asparagus in there, supposedly did this. So supposedly he's been working on this for 5 years. So what's the other thing he did? Why are these apples here? So apparently another thing he did was he's like, well, what if you can do an ear? So he cut an apple and took off the waxy exterior, and he said he had his wife do it, shape it into an ear, basically. I mean, they're not really going to implant these in humans, so they didn't really do the world's best job of making them shaped like ears, but they were pretty decent. And he cut them into ear shapes, and then he did the same thing where they put them in a chemical that took out all the proteins and all the DNA, so it was just like inert scaffolding. And then he put ear cells on there, and they all grew into an ear. Let's see if I can find those. Ear made of apple cellulose. So there's the ears that they supposedly made out of apple. Why spare body parts of the future may be grown out of fruits. Hey, so I guess it's kind of good though, because they don't have to grow pigs or something. They can just grow fruits and stick it in you, and then you would regrow your body parts. It just sounds so crazy. Went to my doctors, told them I don't remember how. I remember blah, blah, blah. Adam's apple didn't have little chicken wing bone, etc. Yeah, actually, I think there's a fair number of like nurses and stuff that do see the Mandela. Like I was saying before, one of my friends was in the hospital talking to the nurses, and they were really quite open to it. Very much so. Now, obviously, they can't say anything at work because they could get fired if you look like you're crazy. People in hospitals that work there, they really learn how to toe the line and not look weird. But whispering in the corner happens, and I've heard a number of these nurses say that other nurses also see these changes, so it's not just us. Luckily nowadays, before they do surgery, they do imaging of the person, complete imaging of the area to be worked on, so they'll be exposed to these changes like every day. Okay. So when they poke into you, everything is like imaged beforehand, so they know what's going to be there. Of course, the storyline is because there's so much variation between people, but it also serves that other purpose. Okay, got that one. Does anybody remember an Australian coup happening in 1975? That they had like this little mini coup, like a soft, like COUP, like a government takeover type of coup. Because I have never heard of that. So it was like a soft coup or a constitutional crisis. So supposedly they had like a prime minister, and then they had what was the other guy? One of the lower ranking guys, attorney general, I believe it was. And somehow the attorney general had he was legally allowed to dismiss both the prime minister and the whole legislature. So that's what he did. He did not. He was of a different party and was trying to get rid of the prime minister. So he just dismissed the prime minister, and then the legislature could have overruled him or put that prime minister back in power. So he dismissed the whole legislature, and this was able to go on for a certain amount of time until it triggered like a whole new election, apparently. And then they were somehow able to get somebody else elected in. But so I don't know how that would be legal in any situation, but somehow they're blaming it on the CIA, saying that the CIA didn't like the current prime minister because that prime minister wasn't playing ball on our secret facilities in Australia or something. But as far as I can tell, though, it was mostly a result of some weird legal stuff that could be done in their system. That was kind of a little bit confusing, but I've never heard of there being like an Australian coup like that. So I thought that was kind of strange. See, prior to the 75 crisis, it's the governor general's, not the attorney general. The governor general's power to dismiss a prime minister against the incumbent's will under Section 64 of the Constitution had never been exercised. So, he appointed like the opposition leader when he fired the first guy. So somebody else got to run the country for a while. Woohoo! Seems a little suspect. I don't know how you'd write something in that would give them that power. There's Vincent van Gogh's ear that was living and could actually hear or something, but who knows? It seems like I missed something on that one. Some doctors see the anatomy changes and they can't talk about it at their workplace. Yeah, I'm sure. And I actually really got to wonder how many are seeing it and wondering if they're going bats, if they're going crazy. I mean, can you imagine being a doctor and like these organs are like getting bigger and splitting and stuff showing up and you don't realize that other people are seeing it too? I mean, wouldn't that be terrifying? You go back to your anatomy books, and okay, brush up on that. And then a couple months later, there's another new part. And, I mean, God, it would be terrifying. I mean, it literally would be. Take this off. It's making me crazy. It's my headphones, and it's blocking my view of the chat. RSC, but yeah, I think that was one of them. And then there was the Australian. What was that? There's another one in Australia. No, it's not RSC, it's Oh, now I can't remember the name of it now. It was always soya sauce for me. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's always been soy sauce for me. And then I started seeing soya sauce. I don't know when. It was a while ago, but I definitely wasn't my whole life. I don't know. I'm extra thirsty today. That might be because I ate pizza, which makes me thirsty. There's a place near here that's open inside, and everybody acts like normal humans, so I've gotten very attracted to that place. Cats can drink ocean water. That's right, I think I covered that, actually. Limited amounts, I believe it was. I forgot about the kitties. Saltwater poisons to cats. Even a small amount of pure salt can be dangerous to pets. Yeah, I forgot about the kittes. That one was on, what, a year ago? It was not 7 years ago. You know, now that I've been doing this for a couple years, and there's like 20 things to show, it's getting a little hard to remember everything I covered now. All right, let's make this a little faster here. Oh man, stupid Google set me there and they don't even cover that. All right, now this one swears anyone can drink salt water. Is it good for them? No. Will they? Questionable. They will also not get hydrated. So this person does not seem to be on the cats can drink salt water bandwagon yet. Cats who drink too much salt water suffer from dehydration, lethargy, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's see. Queepo quiz. Kind of strange because you don't really think of cats as, sea-bearing animals. A cat's kidneys can filter sea salt. This allows them to rehydrate by drinking sea water. Not a lot of science in there. Perfectandpossum.com. So it looks like some places are saying yeah, other places are not on board with it. I'm pretty sure this is probably a yes or almost, or it's on its way though. Let us talk about their ability to drink salt water. Cats can drink salt water without becoming dehydrated. The cat's kidneys are powerful enough to successfully filtrate salt water, thus allowing the cats to rehydrate itself by drinking it. Cats can drink salt water due to two main factors: higher salt amounts, higher filtration capabilities. Okay, higher salt amounts is what they're drinking, so it's not a factor about why they can drink. So really, there's only one factor. This is like the world's, well, it's not the world's worst, but it's not a very good article. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. This is a pretty bad article. So it's conflicting with itself in every other paragraph. It's probably hard on the kidneys would be my guess. But I mean, who the heck knows? Maybe we'll find out that cats are like sea-bearing animals that sailed the seven seas and their ancient time on the ships with the ship's captain and made them, I don't know, some kind of storyline like that. It does seem weird though. I mean, cats hate water. You can't really imagine them being like a sea animal. It kind of makes sense if you're a penguin, but I don't know, a cat? It's like cats are, they're always having liver problems and stuff because they their system is kind of finicky. They don't drink enough water sometimes, and they have crystals, or at least that's why they say that they have crystals, and you've got to make sure they drink water and give them wet food and blah, blah, blah. And they're just kind of whiny that way, their system. So it's kind of hard to think of them as sucking down salt water safely. They can't even regulate their regular water sometimes. I like this vegan organ implants reality. I definitely like that better than the thought of them growing pigs for organs or any of that other creepy stuff. I'm pretty sure you couldn't just stuff an asparagus in your pack and have regrow your spinal cord in the old days, though. I just don't think so. Wait a second. We can't drink salt water. Cats can drink salt water. Dr. Seuss Horton hatches an egg. Wait, Horton hatches an egg. Do I remember that one? The book didn't exist for some. Horton hatches an egg. Let me just look at the pictures of it. Horton hatches an egg. Oh, I think I had that. It looks familiar. That image definitely looks familiar. That one. Well, okay, there's definitely Horton Hears a Who, though. I could have seen it in there. Horton Hears a Who, that sounds familiar. Horton hatches an egg. I don't know about that one. Horton hatches the egg? I'm not sure I've seen that one before. But I want to say it's Horton hatches an egg. I'm kind of confused on that one now. I wish I could if I could just see like the rest of the imagery of it. Horton Hears a Who. That's very familiar. Not sure. But we can eat sea salt. What's the difference if I eat sea salt and drink water? I think it's amount. There's just you only eat a little bit of salt. It's not like mass hordes. If you ate like mass hordes of salt, it would cause a problem. If all your liquid was all super salty, that'd be like way more salt than you're just throwing on your French fries and potato and steak. So I think it's just an amount issue. Like you can consume a small amount of salt water and it's fine. The problem is if you consume a large amount of salt water and you're not consuming any other liquids that isn't salty, then it causes a problem. Your organs are not able to filter it all out after a bit. Okay, so I think I got all those. Yes. Now on to this one. This one's kind of a weird one. I don't know if I'm the only one, but any of you guys on social media, there's this slang that I swear showed up about, a week and a half ago? I've never heard it before. Now, granted, I'm not a kid, okay? So maybe that's why, and maybe they've been doing it for 2 years for all I know. But all I know is I've never heard of it, and then suddenly it was like 5 5 times a day. I saw it on some. I have never seen anything slip into the social media vocabulary as fast as this word. Like, gaslighting, I would hear that word like once a week, and then maybe once, and then a few weeks pass and I heard it once, and then another week pass. I never had something where I never saw it before, and then suddenly it was on 5 times a day. And that's this word based, BASED, which apparently it means like kind of like authentic, or the opposite of opposer, like it's the real you kind of thing. I haven't quite got my brain totally around that word, but it's everywhere now. And the first time I saw it, I thought they meant biased, and they left out the I. But then I saw it like 3 more times on the same day, and I'm like, what? This must be a real word. Why is everybody using that word all of a sudden? I mean, like BASED, like it's based. So like, oh, that guy is based. Let me see if I can get that explanation. Based. And supposedly it's an old word, though. Slang. I mean, it's on all the time. I've like slipped into the timeline with it. Everybody used it or something. Every other word I'd hear once, and then like a week or 2 or 3 would pass. I never just had it suddenly. Based is a slang term that originally meant to be addicted to crack cocaine, but was reclaimed by rapper Lil B for being yourself and not caring what others think of you, to carry yourself with swagger. I don't know how something came from being addicted to crack to not caring what others think of you, but whatever. Especially common in online political slang, the opposite of cringe, sometimes the opposite of biased. The latter uses the original use coined by rapper Lil B. How do you use base slang? Being base means you stay positive through thick and thin because you accept life and everyone for who it is and who they are. You love and cherish everyone, and you're happy they're alive. It's being yourself no matter what, not caring about what people think of you, doing what you want, and doing it how you want. So in other words, it's like being a cat. Everything's fine. Just leave me alone. I'm doing my thing. Anyway, so when I was looking this up, it's like years and years old. I mean, look at this Explain It Like I'm 5 from Reddit. It's from 2013. Anyways, I don't know. I just suddenly, it's everywhere. I see it every day now. Yeah, base came in fast, like Pog being used everywhere all of a sudden. Pogs, but that was like something that was released that became a game. But even then, I mean, I didn't hear Pog like 5 times in a day and then never heard of it before that. So I've heard bass since a month or so ago. Crunchy Bee, never heard of it. Some people heard of it a month ago. I will ask the kids I work with at the bar. What does POG mean? Okay, POG, that's a really old term where there was this game. I mean, gosh, how long was it? The 70s, the 80s? Basically, it was some kind of like little game pieces. They were just little stupid circles that they had different designs on them, and I don't even remember the deal, but I think there was some kind of game you could do with them or something. People would collect them, and we just kind of laughed because they were just basically little circles, cheesy little cheap things. But the kids were all crazy for them, and they would trade them, and it just became this big thing for a while. You tried to find the rare pogs and stuff. You have to be kind of old to remember pogs. Sus makes sense. It's from suspicious, from a game. Yeah, well, sus came on a little slow for me, but, I heard here and there. And plus, it's just an abbreviation of suspicious, so like you said, it's easy. But, 90s. Was Pogs the 90s? Yeah, I couldn't remember. It was a long time ago. It was before the internet. So anyway, yeah, based. I swear it's come out of the blue like instantaneously. It's probably the fastest one I have ever suddenly been attacked with. In fact, I figured it out so fast because the first time I thought someone spelled something wrong, but then like an hour later I saw it again. I'm like, what? There's that word again. And then a little bit later in the day it was again. I'm like, all right, I got to look this thing up. What does it even mean? Dumb milk caps that they would slam. Yeah, I never really did like pogs, so I didn't really know exactly what they're for, but I just knew it was a game. All right, so on to some non-medical stuff. Anyway, you get to learn the latest. Of course, by the time it's on the internet, it's probably like old school for the kids, but like, yeet was super popular, but I did not see yeet like 5 times a day on social media. So I don't know. It's just weird how it suddenly showed up so much. Maybe it's a hint that we got to try to be what that is. Try to be based, people. All right, close enough. Maybe I do the rest of it. I can't. I'm not finding the original. We'll just go with one of these. Okay, so these are. Okay, this is the right one. Stunning NASA photo shows gold Peruvian Amazon rivers, but there's a dark backstory. So these are rivers here, and they look gold. Why are they like gold? So apparently they're from gold mining, but it's not gold in there. It's from what's that? Mercury. They use mercury to get gold out of rocks. So what they'll do is they'll crush up rocks and they'll put mercury in there, and the gold binds with the mercury, and then it kind of extracts the gold, and then they can take them out together and then separate the gold from the mercury fairly easily. So when there's gold mining, they use mercury a lot, and of course mercury is toxic, and if it spills, it makes a big mess. But the thing is, I've never heard of like mercury ever. First of all, they don't use that much mercury that you're going to see it from like a satellite or something. I've never heard of it turning rivers gold colored. So they're saying the light is shining off of these mercury rivers, making them look gold. It just sounds so ridiculous. I mean, there's been many cases of mercury spills, and all it did was like kill a bunch of fish. It didn't turn them gold. I don't know. So this whole story is weird. This one's from Mark Tyus. He found this one. Mark found a bunch of stuff, so we're now getting into the ones that you guys found. The pits are normally hidden from view to those on the ISS, but stand out in this shot due to reflected sunlight. But those aren't all pits. I think they said they were rivers. So I don't know. I don't really get that part. Why would they not show on the ISS when they're that big? So gold prospecting rivers now turn gold. It doesn't really make much sense. So there's already been a lot of weird stuff with like rivers turning blood red, and they say, "Oh, you spilled some red chemical." But I mean, like, how much chemical do you have to spill to turn a river 20 miles wide red? I mean, wouldn't it get diluted? There's just a lot of this stuff is just really weird. So now we have a gold one. There's been these like bright blue ones because of chemicals. Why so many colors? It's just, I don't know, it's a little weird. All right, here's another one from Mark Tyus. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Statue of Decebalus. My timeline was boring and did not have cool stuff, so maybe you had it in there to say, I have never heard of this thing. It's weird. It's not super old. They finished it in 2004, but I mean, I don't even remember. I was looking through for weird statues even like a few years ago and I didn't find this. I'm almost ready to give up now because there's so many that I don't think I'm keeping them in my brain cells, but so this thing is like really big. Rock sculpture of Decebalus. It was built between 94 and 2004. Supposedly some rich guy commissioned it. The last king of Dacia, who fought against Roman emperors Domitian and Trajan to preserve the independence of his country, which corresponds to present-day Romania. It's 180 feet in height and 82 feet in width. So 55 meters in height and 25 meters in width for non-Americans. So it's no small fry. 180 feet high. It looks like something kind of out of it looks like something out of a movie. It doesn't really, but yet it's kind of goofy looking too. I don't know what to say. I don't know if you commissioned a statue, would you commission that one? I don't know. Does that even look like a person? He looks like he's got little cat whiskers because right there is like sort of brown. And he's got brown on his nose. So he's got like a little cat coloration face or something. I don't know. It's just weird. I know I've never seen that thing before, though. That's all you would not forget. Now, somebody was on talking when Mark Tyus mentioned it, that they thought that this thing changed. I have never seen this thing before. I'm still trying to figure out why his lip and his nose is brown. I mean, was there just happened to be weird stone right there? Right there. It seems a bit suspicious or sus, as they would say. Did they paint that? What is up? Decebalus Rex Dragon Facet. Okay, speaking of cat statue shaming, oh my god. He doesn't even look human. I never heard of the word glib. Supposedly it was an 80s slang. Was that I've heard that. Was that an 80s slang? I thought it was a kind of little used words. Insincere and shadows. Insincere and shallow. I don't remember it being a slang though. It's not used very often. It's just sort of a kind of a fancy term. And I have not heard it used. Uncommon word. That's what I would call it. A naked woman statue appeared in Argentina. I'm not clicking on that. I'm going to get in trouble with YouTube. Is there a statue of limitations? And gainers. Shut it. I remember it looking better when I saw it in a history book. Okay, that would make sense. Statue shaming. Okay, so next one. Okay, this one is there's definitely been a spate of rather unpleasant ones showing up lately, and this is another one of those. So the story. Okay, so let's see. Statue of Decebalus. I don't even know how to pronounce it. That was from Mark Tius. Good find. This one is also from Mark Tius. Apparently now, there was this entertainment in France, a little bit before the 1800s, and it was cat burning. So they would take cats and they would just like put them in bags and put them over the fire. And the story was that the Roman Catholic Church was sanctioned it, as the cats were evil and they were linked to Satan or something. I don't. And then the kings did it, and Louis the Fourth did it, 14th, and it just I don't. I've never heard of this, but it was supposedly a big deal. They were supposedly mass burned, so it was like a big thing. The French had a nice habit of burning and hanging cats in the day of John the Baptist. How they annoyed the French so much remains a mystery. The differences between the regions are solely in the specifics of the process. In Paris, cats were stuffed into a bag and then set on fire. In Saint-Chamond, cats were doused with resin, set on fire, and then chased to the streets. In Burgundy and Lorraine, before setting fire to the maypole, a cat was bound to it. And the rest of Western European countries were not much inferior in the pace and cruelty of the massacre of animals. As a result, the cat population in Europe has declined by 90%, and this in turn allowed a large number of rats to enter human settlements. In addition, a black rat, a carrier of the plague, was brought to Europe. Black rats oppressed the local gray rat, and in the absence of cats, began to breed in incredible numbers. Fleas bred together with black rats, which created a fertile ground for bubonic plague, which carried by fleas. All right, anyway, they just kind of go on and on about these poor cats, but I've not ever heard of this. They reduced the cat population by 90%. Some stuff in here is just, I don't know, this timeline just got its yuck. Is it because they thought they were witches and shape-shifted? They didn't say anything about that. They just said that they were linked with Satan, like Satan's favorite. Like supposedly the Catholic Church said that they were Satan's favorite animal. They weren't actually saying that they were like super intelligent or anything, you know. You'd think that they reduced, because you know we've all heard the story of the plague and the fleas, or at least I have. Okay, I don't want to say we all have, but that one's a pretty common story for a lot of people. I've never once heard that like mass slaughter of cats had anything to do with that. It's just like they've added that one in for me. And you know that's the kind of thing you'd hear about because oh, the poor cats and the. They can see heaven and earth at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. Well, they're little cats are more like people, you know. Like if you suck, then they're leaving you. Basically, you got to earn it. Not like dogs; they'll put up with your crap. If you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you back. But otherwise, bye bye. That's cats. Okay. Guess what animal can play video games? This one is found by Susan Ravella. Good find. Pigs. Pigs can play video games. Scientists have found after putting 4 fun-loving swine to the test. 4 pigs were trained to use an arcade-style joystick to steer an on-screen cursor into walls. All 4 of them could play. They got like snackies if they did a good job. Then they found out that they would play the video game just for like scratches on the back and telling them that they were good. So there they are. Apparently, there's a joystick, and they use their snout, and then if they play it well, then food rolls out into the bowl that's over on the side here, and they get to chow on their bowl. So there it is. There's the setup. Food bowl. Food is released. There's the joystick, and they look in the screen. And supposedly they figured it out pretty fast. They understood that the joystick moved the thingy on the screen right away. So they understood it. And then pigs are, they're pigs. So a little food was causing them to learn very quickly. But then they're saying they'll do it just for like telling them they're good. Because they ran out of food, but then they found the pigs would still do it. So anyway, yeah, there goes with our animals are getting smarter routine. I don't think they were smart enough to play video games, not to mention in any kind of timely or effective fashion. Okay, so another creepy one. There's a lot of these old weird crazes. We've got the cat burning craze. Was the craze for building ruins? Like they would build stuff that would look like ruins. We've covered that one. That sounds really suspicious. So apparently now there was a Victorian craze for headless photographs. So that was the image that I had on the thumbnail. And obviously there's, well, hopefully they're all tricks. They're camera tricks, but oh, those wacky Victorians. Underneath all the social rules, mores, expectation, and layers of starch lay some truly odd penchants for bending the rules. The craze for headless photography is one that seems so uncharacteristic of how we understand Victorian life that it stands out as downright bizarre. Yet it's easier to find a headless photograph than one of a Victorian smiling. So what does that say? Your guess is as good as mine. Swedish-born photographer Oscar Reglander developed trick photography in 1856. All right, so there's a backwards head, double heads. There's a bunch of different headless ones that they did on a platter, under the arm, on a stick. He chopped his own head off. He's got his wife's head. One of them looks a little pornographic. Anyways, I almost put that one up. These are pretty grisly, some of them. That one's not as bad, but some of these, I don't know. I've never heard of this either. We've seen the weird thing with the tiny doll houses for the tombs. There's a lot of just weird stuff showing up. It's just weird. Burning at the stake became rare. Yeah. They said that they were mostly drowned though, so I don't know if that's any better. The last thing I read was that they after they did the witch hunts, they realized that they made a bad mistake and they compensated all the families. I just read that earlier today. I should have probably put that one up too, but I'm like, what? I've never heard of that either. The myth of burning at the stake in Salem is most likely inspired by European witch trials. No, that it was just, we all learned in school that it was done. They had the names of the people. They had the whole storyline. This person was the first one, and this person was the second one, and this person. I mean, we did a whole thing on that. And they had the names of every last person that was burned, and it was Salem. So, no, that just changed. And yeah, we never heard about the European ones at the time. It's just different now. Hear me out. Double muscle pigs and pigs smart enough to play games equals orcs. Yeah, it's a good thing that we're not going to be using them for ears anymore. Sounds like Instant Karma almost where the Black Death came in because there were no cats. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Okay, yoinks. Next one. Cat's burning. Got you. Oh, okay. And headless photos was also Mark Tyus. Good find. The pigs was Susan Ravella. Good find. This is another one from Mark Tyus. We looked through all the weirdest lobsters we could find a while back, so I just kind of had to laugh that a new weird lobster has shown up. It's the translucent lobster. So we had the red lobster and the blue lobster and the half red and the half blue lobster. I think there was a black one in there. There wasn't a translucent one. And they're really pretty because they're not just translucent. They have like a lot of blue on their a lot of them have like blue on the edges of on the edges here. So they're not just plain. They're very neat looking. They look like pearls or something. So you can just about see through them and then kind of see their inner meat and stuff, but they're like pearly. Really a beautiful thing. That one I think is a different thing, but so you can see through them to their meat, but yet the edges of the shell are bluish like that. So really pretty beast has shown up. I wonder when we'll get the half and half translucent and blue ones or some kind of baloney. I wonder if, let me if we have those yet. Half translucent lobster. I'm not seeing it yet. No. Okay, there's the black and red ones. All right, here's all the other. Ooh, this one. I think we did have this one on. The speckly one is a more recent one, though. Here's the rest of the colors. There's the blue one. I'm not sure about this yellow one. I don't think I remember that one. The half and halves, black and red. This yellow one I think has slipped in there recently. That one looks more blue than it looks. It's like almost translucent. See, these were supposedly super rare, but now look at how many they've got them, all a bunch of them into stacks. So they're not that rare anymore. Oh, wait, did I just see a purple one? Dope. Oh, purple. That's a new one. Purple. There's every color now of lobsters then, okay? What color? We got blue, purple. I don't think we have green ones yet. Is there a green lobster? Look at that. That looks totally ridiculous. Let's see if we have a green lobster yet. Green. Oh, looks like it. Green lobster. Caught off Harpswell. Okay, is there any colors I've missed? Green, blue, purple, orange and red, yellow. Those have been covered. Brown and black. I think those are all the colors. Okay, so yes, every color of lobster now exists. Wasakandawa seafood. Wow, look at those. That's really cool. So they're not even rare. Spiny green lobster production. Wow. Well, we looked for colors before, and I did not find all those. No, it says rare green. It says it was found. Is there a rainbow color? Not yet. I think we've only got the half and halves and that speckled one. Gold lobster. Okay, let me see. All right, let me just check on the purple lobster since somebody questioned it. Bloop. Not a shoe caught. There. Rare, extremely rare purple lobster caught. Local 10. It looks like it's from the news, so. All right, let's see what Snopes has to say about this. False. These are not genuine photographs of a purple lobster. Digitally manipulated image appear to have first shared the private Facebook of all things lobstering. While they originally shared in jest, they eventually escaped the confines. Okay, so no purple lobsters yet. The green ones look like they're legit, though, because there's a whole species. We've seen the blue ones. Have we seen the blue ones before? I think so. Let's just look at lobster. All right, so we're still waiting for the purple ones. Well, there seems to be a lot of images of these blue ones, so. Caught in the Maine coast. How rare are bright blue lobsters? All right, you know, if they can be that blue, then purple ones will probably come down the chute. Two Canadian fishermen have been celebrating catching blue lobsters over the past few years. Okay, so what's all we have left is purples, I think. Blink. Okay. This is what I almost did for the. This was almost the thumbnail, but then I decided the headless ones were more interesting. So we looked at weird bananas before, but we did not find these. So they're called praying hands bananas. And they're all mooched together like a big giant hand. Bananas are looking strange anymore. I don't know. They look like some kind of Dr. Seuss thing. I just don't remember the flowers being that big and having that much of a red veil on them. I don't really remember the stalk being so kind of weirdly bumpy and surreal. And I certainly don't remember praying hands bananas. So they're just basically all smashed together. Now I tried to find out when these showed up, and there's like no info on it. But I did find articles going back to like 2004, and it sounded like they didn't say it was new in 2004. So it's some kind of pre-2004. Look at those. It almost looks like some kind of weird technology these days. Get my other water over here. Supposedly they have a vanilla taste to them. So much better. Just weird. I don't know. We've done bananas a bunch of times, even before I even had the show. We kept finding all these weird bananas, and then we'd look for bananas, and we found one that tasted like custard, but we did not see this at the time. Nobody found this. Looking up weird bananas. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible we missed it, but I find it really suspicious. I'm sure I'll find these tomorrow in the supermarket. Yeah. And people go, oh, yeah, I had those since I was a child. I'm not commenting on that one. When I was young, all that strange stuff was sci-fi, and now it's all real. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my flying cars, though. Purple lobster, live aquaria. All right, let's see what we got here. Decebalus reef lobster. It's going to take an hour to load. Okay, that's not an eaten kind, but it is interesting. We pick that one up later. I'm not even going to try to keep up with all the weird aquatic animals because those things are showing up every 5 seconds. There are flying cars prototypes, but you need an airplane license. Yep, they're going to have to make it easier to drive. I mean, some people can't hardly drive a car. And I don't think they're going to let us have them unless they're really safe. I think we'll get them, though, before unless I die soon. But if I live, to a ripe old age, I think we'll get them. The eaten kind will be available by next shift. Well, we've definitely got some more colors than last time I looked. So we'll be waiting on a purple one, and I think that's it. Now, we might get like rainbow stripe ones. That one speckled yellow one. So maybe we'll get more speckly ones, more half and halves. With the self-driving cars, the self-flying cars won't be too far behind. Yeah, we're definitely getting close on the self-drivings. All right, I think we're coming down the home stretch now. Somebody just mentioned this one. I thought the timing was weird. I mean, again, I can't prove anything, but the things are just weird. So they just demolished Trump Plaza. I had not heard of them. I mean, I heard that it had fallen on hard times. You would think that the media would cover this, but I didn't hear poobah about it. The media doesn't like Trump, so you'd think that they would rub his nose in it. But apparently, Trump Plaza was demolished. So it's a hotel in Atlantic City that Trump built and developed, and it just wasn't doing well. And last I heard, it just wasn't doing well. But now it was like empty since 2014. And I won't play the video because there might be a copyright strike. But so there it is, like standing. I think they covered it with a bunch of stuff so that it wouldn't like rain debris everywhere when it collapsed. And it kind of like collapsed almost like, I don't know, it was kind of an extra interesting collapse. It's mildly interesting. It's worth watching because it didn't go down straight. They had this weird kind of a twisty thing that it did. I don't know, it's just the timing right after all this Capitol building stuff and all that, that suddenly it was demolished like today. I had never heard of them going to be doing this, and then it was done. And so my man Eddie Vencedor had mentioned it, and I had never even heard of it. He mentioned it on the show. And then the praying hands bananas one were from Mark Tias again. So good find on that. Definitely good find. Mark Tias contribute a lot, so I do appreciate that. So that's all I really had. Trump has been a ghost for the last few weeks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we've heard the last. I think that there's got to be more division and stuff, but they may concentrate on Biden for a while. I really expect, and I'd say this for no matter who got in. I would say it for Trump if he was in, although we've already got a lot of drama out of Trump, but I think we're going to see a lot of drama out of Biden, probably a lot of hypocritical stuff. And I don't say this because as you guys know, I don't trust any of them. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I probably lean a little libertarian. But I think if libertarians got big, they would be crooked too, but it just seems like the timeline likes that. And what we see with all of these popular people is a lot of hypocritical behavior. So I would suspect that a lot of stuff that Democrats said they hated about Trump, like things Trump did or issues that they had with him, I expect that to show up with Biden in some form. Because it's almost like the timeline's trying to throw people's hypocritical natures in their face to see if they can see it or something. Things that Trump did, Biden will do, and then they'll go, how it's okay if we do it, but not okay if you do it. Stuff like that. There's going to be drama. They're just, he's starting off very presidential and calm, but I really, and hey, I might be wrong, but I really suspect we're going to see a lot of drama with this new president because it's just how it's been, Not a Trump fan per se, but he might be in real danger. I don't know why he's out now. I mean, if they didn't like his performance, he would have gotten offed early on. So he did his job. I think he pushed the vaccine. He kept the Republicans quiet and sitting on their hands and waiting for the great savior to fix everything for them. And his job, he did it. So now it's going to be Biden's turn to take that ball and run with it. Biden was digital on the Super Bowl greeting. I just haven't watched that stuff. I wouldn't be shocked. I think the thing is really going to be, we're just going to see, we've seen it okay, the BLM protests, everybody said, oh, it's fine. Even in the middle of COVID, when everybody's supposed to be wearing a mask and staying at home, the BLM protests were fine. But then when the GOP protests came, it's, oh, you're spreading the virus, and then that. You can't have it both ways. And then they say, oh, it's fine. The violence is, justified with BLM. And then when the GOP did it, they said, oh, no, it's horrible. You can't have it both ways. On the flip side, there's a bunch of stuff the Republicans did that were very hypocritical also. But, it's so in your face now. It is so blatant. And it's everybody's got to wake up. I mean, liberals, the left, you've got to see that is hypocritical and that is unfair. You can't say that. And then they had parties for Biden after he won. It's, even if you want to argue that the BLM was for a good cause or whatever, you can't justify them burning down buildings. Even if you want to say it was for a good cause and that's why you made an exemption on the masks, you can't say the same for Biden's inaugural parties. Those are completely useless. They're just parties. So you have to admit that there's a lot of hypocrisy there. On the flip side, Republicans, you guys have a lot of hypocrisy in there as well. So, it's time for people to wake up. You got to realize that your party, whatever party you are in, there's a whole bunch of hypocrisy in it. Don't waste your time pointing at the other party when your house is, don't throw rocks from a glass house. You can't control the other side. Maybe clean up your side before you start whining about the other side. Otherwise, it's hypocrisy. So People got to wake up, and it's getting like thrown in your face now. So, I mean, how blatant does it have to be? You know, every time I say that, and then but the other side did bad stuff too. I'm like, so what? Your side did bad stuff. You're spending all your time worrying about the other side, and then you're excusing your side. You know, you guys got to clean up your own house before you point fingers at somebody else's. Silly question, but are churches closed due to the virus, or are there reunions? Or are the reunions there exempt? You know, it's state by state. Churches were closed here for a long time. There was lawsuits. I believe that they can now have very limited service. Let me just see what California is. California, are our churches open? I know they can do outside. All right, court rules, churches may open. All right, so yes, there was a court rule. Court has lifted California's ban on indoor church services during the pandemic. So that was just February 6th. So that was just 12 days ago. So yeah, all right, then my memory is correct. So they were closed for a long time. And then Newsom said that they could have outdoor services only. You know, sometimes it's raining, it's freezing. Well, I mean, we're not freezing, but it's chilly. I mean, this is California, so I can't say we're freezing. But, I mean, it could get down kind of cold. There's old people, you know. So it's not that easy. And some of these places don't have an outside area, so they wouldn't be able to do an outside service. So it was definitely hard on churches. So apparently they have granted an appeal. San Diego church that has repeatedly challenged the state restrictions. So some church is suing. Good for them. You know, I'm not even religious, but really it's just there's got to be pushback on this stuff. While several states set limits on attendance at church services, California is the only state to ban indoor worship in all but sparsely populated counties. The 6 conservative justices and the majority differed among themselves, but they agreed California had singled out churches for unfair treatment. I mean, you can go into Walmart and there's 1 billion people in there, but you can't go to church, so it makes sense. Also, there really just hasn't been much spread in these banned places. I mean, almost all the spread has turned out into be in the care facilities, the old people, hospitals, and in the home. So like one person gets it and then everybody in the house gets it because, you know, just really so I assume care facilities because you've got a lot of vulnerable people that are together in an indoor place. So it just, the exposure is high and they're vulnerable. In the home, again, very high exposure. You're living with that person. And then hospitals, probably, you know, same thing. A lot of exposure and a lot of sick people. So vulnerable people. So those are the 3 places that there's almost all the spread. And yet, you know, they're singling out restaurants. There's very little spread from restaurants. You just don't come in contact with a waitress that much. They're usually standing back these days from you quite a bit. You've got masks on. It's just not enough exposure. So yeah, it's going to be state by state though, in answer to your question. Museums, they were closed for a long time. Again, it's going to be state by state. Some states, I don't think hardly closed anything. Ours was closed a long time, and I think they're closed now. Are museums open in California? This is probably going to be region by region right now for California. So our governor has broken up California into regions, and every region has different rules. You can shop at California museums, but you can't see the art. As are most art, which count as commercial retail spaces and are therefore open to the public. So you can't look at the art though, but you can buy the stuff from the shop apparently. Some museums have closed, some are open. Drive-in shows are a go, but what about outdoor concerts? You just can't figure this stuff out. You know, before Newsom had the stay-at-home order, buffets were open here, but they had to put you outside, but you could go inside to get your food and then sit outside. But now that he closed the lockdown, suddenly buffets are not allowed open. So I don't know what changed there, but none of the buffets have been able to open. Again, it's state by state, region by region. It's constantly changing. So you ask that question, it's like there's 500 answers. Two airlines have no mask policy for business and first class. Aren't they flying in the same plane? Those little stinkers. I know. I've heard that a lot of the airlines aren't enforcing the mask rule in the first class anyways. Like if you say I ain't wearing it, then they don't badger you. Planes are 100% capacity, restaurants 50%. Yeah, planes can't even make money if they don't fly 100%, so it's probably part of it. Canada's not better. All politicians are rotten there too. I don't know what it is going on, but it's like in the Bible, it says during the end times, don't trust your leaders. It's like all of them, even ones that were good before, they look different, they act different. Like Bill Gates is like a whole different guy here. His whole behavior and everything, it's creepy. And I don't even, he creeps me out. It's like him and Fauci are like they're wearing this, like the same person with a different face or something. I don't know. It's just that weird smiley, weird, I don't know. Trudeau, he's acting so different now. Biden is not as entertaining as Trump. No, he's not. Trump was always up to some outrageous thing, and Biden is acting like very presidential. But I think we'll find a lot of stuff coming out under Biden as well. Maybe it won't be quite as clownish. We're going to have Boris Johnson for the clown now. I don't know. Every time I see Boris, I just want to ask him to brush his hair. I don't get it. I don't get why somebody's a politician and they don't just get a haircut. It's like the weirdest thing ever. It's like he's deliberately trying to be a goon or something. And him of all people, you wouldn't think that he would lock down UK, It doesn't make any sense. And they're all getting caught for breaking their own orders. Like they mask orders. Was it one of the mayors? I think it was the Tampa mayor in Florida. So they had the Super Bowl over there, and pretty sure that was Tampa, right? And so she was saying, so people who got vaccinated, you can see how this is already starting the precedent. People who got vaccinated were allowed to go to the Super Bowl. Only people who got vaccinated. So, and some of them didn't wear masks. And so she was threatening to have all the cameras footage looked at and chase down the people who didn't wear masks and fine them, because I guess there's a mask rule in Tampa, only in Tampa, not specifically in all of Florida. And then right when she made this announcement, like right after that, somebody found an image of her sitting at a hockey game indoors, which is a lot worse than outdoors, according to the scientists, without a mask on, sitting around all these other people with masks, and she had no mask on. And then suddenly she's like, oh, well, now she's not going to prosecute people for not wearing a mask. So it's like, these people are getting caught left and right, and I think that's also suspicious. Because really, if you were pushing this mask lockdown thing, wouldn't you be darn sure to wear a mask when you were in public? She's sitting right there, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people at that event, and she's not wearing a mask. I can see a few of them being that stupid, but not like the number that we're getting. Russia is not connected to the central bank anymore. Not like I really trust Russia, but Russia banks global use of its alternative SWIFT system. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I'm not typing in the right thing. Getting caught seems part of the play. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like they're trying to, like, the reality is both very negative and dramatic and depressing in some ways, but in other ways, it's very much slapping people in the face with this obviousness of it. So all these leaders are getting caught over and over again, saying one thing and doing another. Yet for some reason, there's a lot of people still absolutely enthralled with these people. So, there's definitely people who, I mean, like if I said one bad thing about Trump, even one tiny thing, they would immediately accuse me of, all these nasty words, liberal, blah, blah, blah. And then I would have to listen to a 20-minute diatribe on how wonderful Trump is. And then the same thing with the other side. I'd say one little thing about Biden and I'm a Trump-tard, GOP, baby murdering, whatever. They can't even accept that their candidate is human, has flaws, has made mistakes, is not going to save the world. These things, they've become like blind to them. They can't even accept the tiniest criticism, and yet we have a situation where these people that they're blindly following are so much more blatantly hypocritical now than ever in the past. And so that's what's so amazing about it. It's just like, but it's so obvious. How could you not see it? How many times does Trump need to flip-flop and say one thing and then the opposite 10 minutes later before you kind of notice that, Houston, we have a problem here. It's just... And I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of drama with Biden. I just can't imagine it's going to be a quiet 4 years. I mean, I might be wrong, but I really expect to see probably more stuff with China, health problems. It seems like now it's weird. It's like everybody starts accusing people of things, and then the people do it. Like, in the old days, you'd be like, that's just a conspiracy theory. But now it's like the more people say it, the more it happens. So because so many people are saying China connection and Biden is sick and all that, I think there's a good chance we'll see more indications of it. Just enough, at least, to excite the Republican side and give them a lot to talk about. But not quite enough to be a total smoking gun. Because that's what this timeline loves, is the both sides see what they want to see. Linda Compton, if you don't like the channel, I think that you should leave. Somebody obviously either loves Biden or Trump, because when you start saying any bad things about him, oh my gosh, it's trigger time. This is a pretty good example right there. And she's not even arguing against my points. She's just, you're stupid. That's her solution. I'm stupid. People who are usually here, they know my opinion, so they're not going to be surprised. In Paris, a bunch of appeals judges got caught for paying a restaurant in order to organize a private dinner for them while restaurants are not allowed to open. Yep. Then we got Pelosi got caught getting a haircut without a mask. Newsom got caught going to that French Laundry fancy restaurant birthday party without a mask, squished up against a whole bunch of people that weren't from his household. What country to move to? Yeah, I'm just going to sit back and keep an eye because I don't know how the other countries are going to go. It's tricky because, you're like, well, maybe I'll move to Florida, but like, what happens in 2 years if DeSantis doesn't win the next election and the next governor is totally different? If you move there and you only got 2 weeks of peace, I just love it when they call me ignorant and they don't even have an argument for my arguments. I get that all the time. You're just an idiot and and they have no argument for my argument. They just go straight for the insults. So anyway, I mean, you don't have to agree, but you know what? At least try to come up with an actual argument. This is sad. So yeah, I don't know. That's what concerns me as you move, and then is it going to stay like that? I mean, there's a lot of people in America that came from third world countries that went bad. Maybe it was Vietnam or some country that went fascist or something, and they bailed and got to America when it was a little easier to get in, and a lot of them are really worried now because they say they see what's happening now is similar to what was happening in their country before it went bad. So they already had to move once, and it's like, well, where do you move now? Because it's not going to be Australia, UK, or Canada. Would be like some favorite places. Most of Europe, well, a large chunk of Europe doesn't look too great either. So I don't know, Mexico, I don't know. I mean, that would be something I consider because I could get back to the States if I wanted to, but I could move there and I don't know. It's risky. I don't want to move unless it gets really bad for that reason, I guess, because I just, it used to be one country would go bad, but the rest of the countries all were still the same. But now it's like, at least half the world has gone totally whack. And it's most of the first world countries, too, the ones you would consider moving to. You guys are my kind of stupid. There's always got to be somebody who doesn't like it. I don't know. Anyway, I don't trust any of them. You guys, what I think it is people really want it to be true. I mean, it's just so simple. If one side was the good guy and one side was the bad guy, then all you'd have to do is get your side in, and there's hope for that you could get your side in. But every time one of the side gets in, nothing really changes. I mean, we've definitely had a lot of times when Democrats fully controlled the country for like 2 years. And then like Trump had, good control of the whole legislature, and he had the president for 2 years. And not much change, there really hasn't been. There's minor changes that are done sometimes when they have full control. Like we got Obamacare, and then Trump gave the corporate tax breaks and some tax changes, but overall everything's the same. And I just think people really wish it was true. I mean, like I think that was what was so exciting about QAnon is that people really just dream that someone will come in and clean up everything and the corruption will be gone. But that's just not how it works. I think as long as the individual humans are still corrupt, then there's always going to be corruption at the higher levels because they're not going to be any better than the lower levels. And you see it all the time, people stealing $10 from each other, lying. They don't even honest with themselves. So you can't really expect the politicians to be vastly better than the average schlep on the street. We don't like to think that we're not perfectly ethical, but you see it all the time. I mean, if you look at a homeowners association or a club, like any little club, there's all this high drama. Then there's theft and there's, haggling and there's backstabbing, even in the tiny little organizations. You can't really expect the government to be better than like the homeowners association down the street. We can design a system that recognizes human nature and keep it in reasonable check. The current situation is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. There's something going on with the global energy, because it used to be that most countries were pretty decent and they had their crookedness, but it was not to the level that we see now. And I see it in people. Speaking of the shifties, so I had mentioned that my coworker was really different, and my coworker got her vaccination, her first one. And so she said for her, the only side effects was her arm really hurt. She said it just really hurt, but she didn't have any other side effects. That was just the first shot, so we'll have to see after the second shot. The other news is that I actually did finally hear of somebody who died of what we would assume would be the COVID. They tested positive, and it was some kind of it's a lower respiratory, which is the lungs. Upper respiratory is like the sinuses. So a lower respiratory lung infection, some kind of lung buildup. It was a pretty sad story too, because so he was feeling trouble breathing, so he went to the hospital, and they said, "Oh, you're not that sick. Go home." And he said, "Well, I'm pretty sick." They're like, "No, you're not. Go home." And he was like 51 years old, I think, 51 or 52. And he went home, and then he got worse, and then he went back the next day, and he was a lot sicker, so they let him in, and then he died shortly after that. And I hear that story a lot. People go to the hospital, and they throw them out, and then they die shortly after. So that's just another thing about the hospitals. There's like about 150 things I could complain about the hospital system. It's probably true even worse in other systems like the UK, from what I've heard with the DNRs and stuff. I just heard that in UK they're forcing people with learning disabilities to be on the DNR list, which is the Do Not Resuscitate list. So that's pretty scary. But anyway, so he died. I feel bad because, the people who get tested positive, they don't get any medication or anything. They just send you home. And other countries are treating with vitamins and ivermectin and sometimes the corticosteroids and stuff. And here, we're supposed to be the top medical in the world, but you get nothing. You just get sent home. And then by the time you're sick enough to get into the hospital, you're like really freaking sick. I mean, then it's really dangerous. They really should be treating this right away. I think we'll have a lot less problems, and that's what other countries are doing. I have a silly hope that I can be given the vaccine and ruin it with ivermectin. No, I don't think it's not. My understanding of how it works is that's not going to happen, because ivermectin basically operates on the systems inside a virus that hide from your immune system. So it basically directly targets certain systems inside parasites in general, the virus and other parasites. But it doesn't do anything for human cells. It does not operate on human cells. And that's why when you take it, you don't really have much side effect, because it doesn't really have much biological activity on humans. Only on parasites. So it basically just washes through and then it's out. If you're not a parasite, it doesn't do much. So most of the vaccines that are out right now are RNA vaccines. So what they do is they are in RNA strands, and RNA is like a program for your cell. So they have a method of forcing the RNA into your cells. And then once the RNA are in there, they take over your cells and they force your cells to create an antigen that is on the spike protein of the COVID, at least according to them. But basically, there's an antigen, and the RNA that is pumped into your cells forces your cells to create this antigen constantly for the life of your cell. So forever the life of your cell, which is, a couple years. But it sounds to me like the RNA will also get replicated into any offspring cells. So it's probably going to be a lot longer. Now, I don't know, it may over time slowly have less and less function, but you will be making this antigen for months or years, basically. And this antigen is an inflammatory antigen. It is an antigen that basically says, look out, there's a viral attack. So your body will constantly be making antibodies against this antigen that your own body is making for the entire time. So you're basically constantly ringing the alarm to your immune system for months, years, who the heck knows. So to me, that is a very easy way to get some kind of inflammatory problem term. I mean, your body is not meant to be constantly, your immune system is not meant to be constantly called up like that. So that's why, I mean, the human system is not designed that way, probably for a reason. So that's why I don't want to get it, because I don't, it's not tested, and it's not the Ebola that we're going against here. But anyway, yeah, ivermectin will not counteract anything in the vax, unfortunately. Yeah, there's other issues. Whether they've even truly isolated the virus, there are questions on that. Serious questions, I might add. I'm wondering what storyline we'll get in the end. There's going to be some stuff in there. I don't know how it's going to roll out all together, but there's some serious questions. Autoimmune diseases income. I think so. Inflammation and autoimmune diseases. It's just like a recipe for those. You know, probably it's not going to be everybody, but I think everybody who gets it, it's going to ramp up your inflammation a little bit. Okay, but then it's not going to be just this round. They're already talking about needing another vaccine for the variants. So you get another vaccine and another vaccine and another vaccine, and it just stacks up. These are going to be a lot more inflammatory than the old school vaccines from what I'm reading. I mean, I can't swear to it, but there's a lot more opportunity for that. Yeah, there's been cases. It's very tricky because, like, all right, if you say you're old and sickly and you're near death and you get COVID and you die, they say you died of COVID. But if you're old and sickly and near death and you get the vaccine and you die, they say you died from being old and sickly. They don't say you died from being, the vaccine had nothing to do with it. So you could get the vaccine and 30 minutes later you could drop dead. Well, there's no evidence the vaccine did that. Unless you specifically have like anaphylactic shock, their answer is, well, there's no evidence that the vaccine did that. They've got this very narrow list of responses. And if you're not in that response list, well, there's no evidence the vaccine did that, is the answer, you know? And so it's very hard to tell what the real side effects are because they're very cagey about what they'll even accept as being a vaccine side effect. And if they decide it's not one, then it doesn't go into the data banks and it doesn't get reported on very much. So yes, there's a lot of rumors. It'll make you sterile. It'll make you this. I don't know. You know, I really don't know. And there's different vaccines, you know, so each one may do something different. We don't even know for sure if every vial of a vaccine is the same. I mean, they've gone through a lot of work to, each vial has its own chip that they track and they know who gets what. And, you know, who knows if they're even all exactly the same? We don't know. There was a case here in San Diego where there was a whole bunch of bad reactions, like a really abnormal bunch of bad reactions. So they recalled that vial of Vax and they said, well, maybe there's something wrong with it. And they said, in abundance of caution. And we're like, aren't they all the same? Aren't they all produced in the same factory? Why would it be different? You know, I don't know. Just chance. I really don't know. I mean, there's so many things that it could be. And it's so murky, the data collection, that it's very hard. But yeah, who wants to be a guinea pig? I don't. So no, thank you. And, you know, it's tricky because people, well, if you have a lot of comorbidities and you're vulnerable to the COVID, maybe you should get the vax. But it's looking like if you have a lot of more comorbidities and you're vulnerable to the COVID, those same people are having a lot more problems with the vaccine as well. So again, it's just not a simple answer. I think you're basically rolling the dice, you know? You're rolling the dice about how well you could fight off COVID versus how much long-term problems that vaccine might have. And neither one of those are very knowable. I don't think the hospital should get the 13,000 if the person doesn't get life-saving treatment. Yeah, hydroxychloroquine is safe and cheap. You know, ivermectin is actually safer and cheaper and has a lot better studies behind it than hydrochloroquine. I did look at hydrochloroquine, but I would still put my money on ivermectin at this point just because the studies are more promising. They're more striking. Hydrochloroquine is cheaper, and the safety protocol is impeccable, and you can get your claws on that stuff for really cheap. Really cheap. I really think everybody should be taking that gets tested positive. Actually, ivermectin was taken off of the do not recommend list and is now put on the neutral list for COVID for the USA. So I think that means that doctors will be willing to consider it now as off-label use, because before it was on the not recommend list, but then NIH has changed it to neutral. So before, when it was on the not recommend list, I think that was, you were open to lawsuits and stuff, but now I think they'll be a little more open to it. It's making good. If you look at COVID-19criticalcare.com, they've made really good progress in getting the word out. Ivermectin can be bought from the animal pharmacy, but it must be only ivermectin without additions. That is true. It is very, very true. But I never said it. All right. Anyways, I think we're coming towards the end here. It's 2 o'clock. Is anybody else having massive static shock issues? You know, I go through like phases where I had that. There was a whole bunch of phases a number of years ago. There was even like a year when I had it. And then it finally kind of went away, and now it'll come back for a few weeks at a time. It's also cheaper from the veterinary pharmacy and can get through import-export customs since it's for animals. Yeah, and you just buy it from eBay. But eBay still has it. You don't need a script for the animal. You just go to eBay. That's all you got to do. All right. Don't tell anybody, but I'll show you. Boink. Let me find my old. You can see everything I've been buying. If I can get this to load. Doink. Open. Purchase history. Come on. Dun, dun. Now, I believe it was last year. Oh, it's running slow. It's doing this to torture me because I said the Ivor word. All right, so I believe it was 2020. Here we go. This one. You don't have to get 6 of them. You can pick like 1. This particular one is ivermectin and paste, and that's it. It doesn't have anything else in it. And this is what I purchased. And they're fairly cheap, $15 for one. So this one will have like 5 doses in it, I believe it is, 5 or 6. It's for a whole giant horse, so you don't take the whole thing. You take them out for like a 250-pound foal. And it's divided into little tick marks, so you just take like 1 tick mark or a little bit less. If you're a really lightweight person, then you could even take a little less than that. So basically, if you're 250 pounds, then the one for a 250 pound, you take the same dose as a horse per pound. So if you're a 250 pound person, then 1 tick mark is exactly the right dose. But ivermectin, you can actually take quite a lot. There's like a huge range that you can take. So if you take a little bit more, it's fine. They actually, some of the doctors are giving it like a lot. So this would be on the low side if you did it for the 250-pound horse, because it would be nowhere near their max dosage. So anyway, yes, these guys, Picard meds for pets, Duramectin. So it's 1.87% ivermectin and then the paste, and that's all that's in that one, which is why it's good. Now, there were other ones that were like apple flavored, and believe me, they don't taste like apples anyway. It's all baloney, but they're all sold out anyway, so. I mean, if you buy that one, it's going to be in pounds because it's American, so. Well, okay, it's only $11 for treatment with hydrochloroquine. You got to realize that this is the retail price, okay? I mean, if you can get the pills and stuff for the wholesale price is far cheaper, but. And if you bop your little butt over to like Mexico, this is going to be like way cheaper also. And you can also get, like a lot of countries, you can just get the human pills without fitzel-fatzel around. You don't need a script. Like you can go to Mexico, you don't need a script for ivermectin. You can also get it online. They have like these online prescription places, but they're pretty darn expensive. Also, I do not believe you can get hydroxychloroquine online. So there's a lot of, that's the other issue, is access. And from Austria, it's so hard to get ivermectin. They won't ship it on eBays. Do these guys ship out of country? I don't know. The problem is that I'm under my account, and my account says the United States. So ships worldwide, see exclusions. Okay, let's see. Now, where'd you say you were from? Austria? Austria. Okay, let me see if Austria is on the exclusion list. Haiti. There are a lot of countries on here, but all right, I'm not seeing it yet. Arabia. All right, I do not see Austria on this list, so they should ship to you. You may have to use the American eBay. You know, sometimes I go to when I was looking for my Denby pottery, I would go to the UK eBay to look for Denby. And then I would just ask them if they'd ship to the USA. Because Denby comes from the UK, so it's a lot easier to find used Denby pottery in the UK. Are the doctors that bad they won't give it to humanoids? Well, part of the problem was that the NIH was recommending against this use up until recently, but our buddies over here, now I recommend you go to these guys for dosing information as far as how often, when to take it, etc., etc. COVID-19criticalcare.com, the FLCC Alliance. This is an alliance of top-line critical care doctors, and they talk about their treatment protocols for COVID-19. Ivermectin info here, ivermectin and the prophylaxis and treatment of COVID-19. So prophylaxis means prevention. So you can use ivermectin both for prevention and after you already get it. And there's a lot of research that shows that it works for both of those things. If you get exposed, take some ivermectin. If you've already got it, for sure, take some ivermectin. Some people take it just like once every few weeks to be on the safe side, like I took it before I went traveling. Let's see. There's one on here, info to share with your doctor. If you go to info to share with your doctor, it has, you can print that out and bring it to your doctor. So now that the NIH is not recommending against ivermectin, you may be able, it depends on your doctor. I mean, some doctors are very open to things and some are very cautious and won't touch anything with a 10-foot pole. So it really depends on your doctor, but sometimes you can bring the info and convince them to give you a script off label, and sometimes you won't. Now, you probably won't have much luck if you're totally healthy and you're using it as prophylaxis, unfortunately, in the United States. But anyway, there's a lot of the data on the studies, I think, on here. And somewhere on here, there's a lot. They've redone this website recently, so I'm now not as well versed on where everything is. Okay, doctors who prescribed ivermectin. This one shows some online sources. So these are like online ones. They're probably going to be like really expensive though. And some of them have places they will not ship to. Okay, this one is USA only. Telemedicine companies. They're not cheap though, so yeah, I think the studies are all under info share with your doctor. This is protocols for like how soon to take it. So like if you get COVID, I believe the most recent protocol was to take ivermectin every day up to 5 days. You don't want to like take ridiculous hordes of it though, because it does. I mean, it is something that your liver and kidneys have to take care of. So you don't want to go totally crazy. You know, it's like anything. You don't want to OD on this stuff. More is not always better. You have to stay within reason. So that's why they limit it to 5 days. If you're not better, like much better in 5 days, you know, that's pretty bad. But it seems like generally speaking, this will do the job. Those 5 days. And they have other stuff on here. They've got vitamin D, zinc. They have different protocols if you're already sick with it than if you're preventing. If you're in the hospital, they have different protocols where they add one of the corticosteroids. I forgot which one it was. A couple other things. Some blood thinners. If you're really sick with it, then apparently blood thickening is an issue. So anyway, these guys, like Dr. Corey, his emergency room had half the deaths than the average emergency room. I think that it was like 50% reduction. When you have half the deaths of everybody else in all the other emergency rooms, then you're doing something right. This guy knows his stuff. And so they developed, these guys use all these in their own emergency rooms. But like I said, if you're in the hospital, you're going to have to somehow convince your doctor to allow it. And that's what this info to share with your doctor is. But, you know, my goal is always treat it first, treat it early, before you get sick, before it takes over half of your body. You want to kick it early on. Yeah, magnesium, I think, was in there. I take that all the time, so I tend to forget that one. So, yeah, they used to say, before they were saying it, take one dose on the first day and one dose on the third day. Recently changed it to every day for 5 days. What are the cat symptoms to get script? See, you don't need any scripts for the horse one. This Duravet, I just buy it. I just put one tube, $1, $15, buy it now, pay, and it's mine. There's no scripts. How do you paste? You know, it's kind of slimy. It's not real bad. I don't know. It's not really a paste. I don't know. It's kind of half paste, half slime or something. So I just squeeze it out. It's just like a little blob the size of my thumb. And I just squeeze it onto a spoon. And then I put it on the back of my tongue. And then I just like swallow it and drink a bunch of water. The taste is not like really good, but it's not hideous. I mean, you're not going to be like, you know, I've definitely had some medicine where you really have to kind of, it's a real challenge to consume. This is not nearly like that. It's just, it tastes kind of meh, but it's not bad. If you slurp enough water right after you eat it, then you won't really taste it because the water will just wash it all back. And you won't, I don't know anybody who feels anything. Like you take it and that's it. You don't really feel anything. It doesn't really do a lot. And like I said, unless you're a parasite. So anyway, definitely, if you're going to get it, definitely go to this COVID-19 critical care and read up on it, read the studies, but definitely read the protocols because, like I said, you don't want to OD or anything. It's pretty safe stuff, but even like aspirin or anything, you don't want to take more than you're supposed to be taking. So, I mean, it's something that you could take like double, but there'd be no point. You don't need to, and you don't want to push it. So, make an appointment. Yeah, you don't got it. Just buy it online. This stuff's interesting because I noticed that it went to Amazon. I'm not sure if it's still up, but they had ones of this on Amazon, and people have been buying this for years for other stuff. It wasn't just for COVID. So apparently it's really good for scabies, and I've never had scabies, but apparently scabies is really hard to get rid of, and some kind of a parasitic infection thing again, and it gets in the skin. And so the doctors give out medications for scabies, but a lot of people find that the medications just don't work. And I guess scabies is really itchy and it's nasty. And you get this medicine and it's not really doing anything. But ivermectin works really well for scabies. And for some reason, the doctors don't prescribe it. They prescribe other really expensive new stuff. Ivermectin's old school. It's from the 60s, but it works. But, it's cheap. There's no patent. Big Pharma doesn't make any money. So the doctors prescribe the newfangled stuff and it doesn't work. So people just go to Amazon and they buy this horse ivermectin and they take it. And they've been doing this for years. So you get on there and there's all these reviews of people who took it for scabies. And of course it's not supposed to be for people, but and it gets really good reviews for scabies. If you get scabies, there's another something to know. Penicillin is the same stuff as the corium. I think there wasn't penicillin, but I don't know. You got to watch for the fish stuff because, again, sometimes there's other chemicals in there. So you got to be real careful to make sure on the dosages and stuff. Hydroxychloroquine does not have the safety protocol that ivermectin does. And that's why I feel fairly comfortable recommending ivermectin. But hydroxychloroquine is a little more tricky. I'm not saying it's super dangerous, but it's not like it's not like one of the really safe medicines either. You just get it online and you don't have to bring your horse in. They probably have it on Amazon too. I'm too lazy to go check, but there's a lot of jokes about taking it, though, bodily changes and stuff. But all right, anyway, it's time for me to go too. It's 2:22. I think that means it's time for me to go. So people, hang in there. I know it's been kind of crazy out there, and it may be for a while yet. So we just got to keep looking for the routes around solutions and you know what to do. So think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.